there prizes?
Yeah, there will be prizes actually. Very good point. I do have prizes, yes. All right, let's see if people joining. Nice. Do we have everyone? Interesting. Supposed to play. Okay. All right. Everyone's in. Okay, let's start. So the way it works, I should have explained. There will be questions with multiple choice, and you have to pick the answer, and the speed matters. I don't know if you played before. And basically, I'll be quiet so you can read the question. Nice to get the 8 correct answers. Let's see who is leading. All right, Harry. Nice. There is also nice music playing. I don't know why, some tech issues here, but okay, let's move on to the next question. And let me know if you want me to read it, or sometimes people don't want to presenter to read it, and they just want to read it. I know we gave him some answers. Okay, JP moved up. Nice. So again, the speed matters, even though if you can get something right, but those milliseconds also matters. Okay. No, answers coming in way faster now. Good job, everyone got it. All right, JP is on fire. Nice. All right, next question. Nice, everyone got it. Good job. Let's see. All right, Kirk and Alex moved up. JP is leading. All right, multi-select. This is a tricky one. I think all the answers are correct here.
Okay.
So I think like if you selected everything, you get I guess the speed matters for this one. All right, Dylan moved up, JP staying. All right, couple of more questions and we're done. Good job. Let's see if scoreboard change. All right, there's some changes. JP is leading. Who is JP? Good job, JP. By the way, I built this with a Gemini, just grabbing the docs and saying like basically the documentation pages for like GitHub, GitLab, and LangChain, thrown into the Gemini and said, hey, like create me a quiz with 4 answers. And then, but the art is mine, as in I had to select it. All right, 2 more. JP is leading, great. Last question. All right. Time to, there's supposed to be music playing. They have a nice, nice music there. I have to like fix the music. Okay, let's see. 3rd place, Sean. 2nd place, Harry. In 1st place, JP. Yay, good job. I have some prizes for all 3 places. Yeah. If you can raise your hands, I know who JP is. All right, first place. JP, for you. Yeah. You get the enterprise roadmap to a CICD report and a sticker. Harry, here you go, just for you. And good job. All right, there will be one more quiz at the end, so because there are more prizes, so we'll have another chance. You'll have another chance to win. All right. All right, so now we're going to go into the setup. Kind of, we did the overview quickly. Now we're going to do the setup. So the first thing you want to do is go to the explore.quiklabs.com and sign in. All right, and I need power. And you should see, so I added all the emails who sign up for the event. So if you log in, you should see this GenAI for Developers scheduled course. But if you don't have an account, you need to sign up first with the same email.
So we can learn some AI?
Yay. We're about to get into that. Yes. All right, show of hands who got in and can see the lab. Okay, all right. Or maybe the other way around. Looks like everyone. if you need a moment, like we want to kind of wait at least to start in sync, and then some people, I guess, will move ahead faster than others. But anyone still trying to get in? Okay. And if you log in and you don't see the course, then just I have stickers. You can write your email, and I'll add you to the classroom.
What was the name of the course?
GenAI for developers. So you should see, basically, if you once you log in, you should see you should see this one. Oh, good. So everyone's good? No? Okay. Are you trying to log in or create account?
I created the account, but then I'm not sure which email I used. And
Okay. We can. But you can log into the QuickLab, right? So if you can add your email, I can add you to the. Oh, here we go. So, all right. Nice. Right, so you can go if you use the QuickLab before. If not, we're going to do a quick overview and then kind of start. So it's basically this is a virtual environment, temporary environment that you have access for 6 hours. You can go ahead and click Start Lab, and this will provision a new GCP project where you can kind of log in, and we're going to be running most of the steps inside there. That project inside the Cloud Shell. So once the lab is started, you have this username, password, and project ID. What you want to do is you want to right-click on the Open Console button and open this in the incognito window. And it will pre-populate it with the student ID that was provisioned. This way, you're not gonna, if you have access to other GCP projects, like you're not gonna mix those two. So you want to do this. So basically, what I'm gonna do, I'll do this side by side here. Log in. Accept the terms and services, agree. And so just we'll show around quickly. So we're going to be working most of the time. We're going to be working. So we're going to try the Gemini chat, and we're going to be working in the Cloud Shell and switching between the Cloud Shell terminal and the Cloud Shell editor. The information about that kind of the setup in the first couple of sections talks about how to get in, what the Cloud Shell is. So that basically this is what we covered. How to activate Cloud Shell, where to find the icon. So basically, the Cloud Shell is kind of virtual machine that you have access to through that interface. It comes with the 5 gigs of storage in your home directory, so you can kind of anything you save in the home directory will be there after you come back. Not for the regular GCP project, that's the case. For the quick labs, once you hit end the lab, everything will disappear. But for the duration of the lab, you can use that. And there are some steps to test. Like if it's your first time using the quick labs, you can run through those steps to get familiar with the UI, with the command line options. We can go through this, but we're gonna start once we get to that environment setup. Like this is where we're gonna start once everyone is up to speed. And I know some folks probably already very familiar with this, and if you want, I guess you can move, go ahead and kind of run through the steps. Some folks maybe first time or new to this, so they might go a little bit slower. So we'll try to accommodate both and help each other. So question for the group. Do you want to do kind of the section overview? Because I can follow, I'm going to be running the commands as well. And there are 2, I guess, options. You can watch me do this section, and then you take the time and do it, or you follow along as I run it. Like any preferences, how we want to do it. Or if anyone wants to just go ahead through the steps, that's fine too. Do you want to just do it in parallel? I will be running the commands, talk, and you guys try to follow and run the commands as well. That works? Okay, sounds good. Okay. And let me check. Okay. Minimize this. So kind of the first thing that we want to try is open Gemini chat. And because it's a new project, the very first time, we want to enable the API. And the API that we're enabling is called Cloud AI Companion API. So click enable. I'll take a moment.
Where is your mouse? Oh,
Okay, sorry. Yep. And then after that, you can click start chatting, and you get some prompts out of the box. If you can just click one of these, and or you can try your own prompt. So in the lab, I'm suggesting kind of to talk about prompt engineering a little bit and prompt in general. So we're gonna run through a couple of prompts here. So first, I'll ask Gemini to explain Kubernetes in 5 key points. This is a good prompt. Nothing wrong with it. Now let's see what we're gonna get back. All right, it looks good. So next, what you will see in the examples further down in the lab is like we want to give the model, we want to give it the role. So in this case, I'm telling the model that you are a certified Kubernetes administrator, and I want you to explain the Kubernetes in 5 points to another fellow certified Kubernetes admin. So this will, like you will see that the output changes based on this input. So I think looks better. And then another prompt, again, we're telling the model to be the certified Kubernetes admin to play that role. And then this time we want to explain Kubernetes to CF4, right? So I would expect cost mentioned and anything related to kind of financial aspect of running Kubernetes and how we can save money. So yeah, looks good. So yeah, you can try your own prompts. There is a prompt guide that I linked in the lab. You can go ahead and read more about prompting later on. So we did that. So also, like, this screen kind of small, you can make it bigger, open it in a new tab and start the chat there, or you can close it because we're done with that section. And next we're going to switch to the again, so, yeah, we're going to switch to the Cloud Shell. So there's the icon next to the Gemini chat. So click that, click continue. So this is right with the virtual machine that I mentioned that comes with the 5 gigs of storage that you can use. So this is the terminal. So we'll run some commands here, and then what we also will be doing is switching to the editor, and that will take a moment to load. And this will look very similar to VS Code. If you're using that, you will be familiar with that UI. And you can switch back and forth, going from the terminal to the editor by clicking the button. And also inside when you're inside the editor, you have an option to open the terminal as well by going to the terminal, new terminal. This way, if you're changing the code and want to run some commands, it's all kind of in one UI. You don't have to flip back and forth. For now, we're going to just go back to the terminal and run the commands that you see in the lab. Something about the lab. So there's blocks of text that you can copy. Some of the text, some of the blocks are just for display. So if you mouse over and you see the copy icon, it will kind of indicate that you can copy that and run it in the terminal. If it's just a display, there will be no icon. So we'll just copy that and paste it in the terminal and run it. So authorize it. So what we're doing here is we're going to create a new service account, and then we'll also create a service account key. So if I make this a little bit bigger, so basically what we just created is that Vertex client key.json that we're going to be using later on to set up the GitHub, GitLab, and then CircleCI. Basically, it contains the private key information about the project, about the user. So once you're done with this step, we're gonna run another command to enable the APIs. And there are a couple of APIs that we enable here. So AI platform, that is for the Vertex AI platform, then Cloud Companion, that's the Gemini chat that we already enabled, but we're doing it again. And then Cloud Resources API. Okay, so we have our service account. We have our APIs enabled. So next, we're going to start with working the repository from our Google Cloud Platform repository into your personal GitHub repo. So I'll make this a little bit bigger. So you can click the link, and it will take you to the screen to fork the repo. Just 1 second here. So, because I have it forked already, I want to delete it first. Okay. Make sure you have two-factor authentication enabled for your repos. Security is important. Okay, so I deleted the repo. So from this screen, so I have to refresh this. So you want to select, like, if you're in multiple orgs, you have the work account, so you would pick your, I guess you want to use a personal GitHub account, so you pick that, and then this is the repo name. You can keep it as is, and then I would uncheck the copy of the main branch and just copy all the branches, and I'll click. Okay. Again. All right. So this will work our solution repo into your personal GitHub repository. And next, you're going to go to the Actions tab and enable the workflows, GitHub Actions workflows. So just click one button and you're done. And after that, we're going to start setting up the secrets and variables for this repo. So if you go under the settings, secrets and variables, actions, and you want to create this Google API credentials repository secret. So you go to settings, secrets and variables, actions. So here you would create new repository secret, put the value, the variable name there. And then for the value, you would switch back to the terminal, run the command, copy it, and go back here, paste it, and add the secret. This should have the secret added to your repo. That would be the service account that we created. So next we're gonna set up, because we're gonna clone the repo in the Cloud Shell environment. So we'll need to set up the Git config there. So basically you want to give the name, username, and the email that you used for GitHub account. And then we're going to generate the SSH key, and so we can add it on the GitHub repo. So you would run, before running this command, you want to run this step first and add your email. And go for the steps here. And then you can run rest of it. Okay, so the output would be, so this is the key that you want to add. So if I go, yeah, so you want to go to the settings, keys in GitHub, click new SSH key, give it a title. I think I call it Quick Labs key, so you know where it's kind of coming from. Okay, so you should see this. Okay, so once you have the SSH key set up, you are ready to clone the repo. So there are, again, this block, but don't copy the whole thing as is. Just copy. Copy the first part. Basically, we want to create GitHub folder and then clone it inside that folder. But what you want to change is you want to switch this part to your user ID. And if you gave the different name to the repo, you would have to change this part as well. So in my case, it will be, and then the repo is the same. And then you have to say yes to that. And then the rest of the commands, you can basically, what you're doing is you clone the repo, And then there's a Cloud Shell edit command that you can run, and it will open the file in the editor. Very convenient.
It's too fast.
Okay. How are we doing? You guys following? Any questions? So just raise your hand and we can.
What's this?
Could you go back to the term?
Sure. Yep.
Just scroll up,
Yeah. So are you looking for the commands in the lab or this?
pause you after the email.
Do you have access to this doc?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Which step are you in?
The first.
So this one? Okay, so basically you would use your email, you would put your email here, email address that you use for the GitHub. You did that, and then you go for the steps. So basically it will ask you for the passphrase. You just kind of hit enter a couple of times, and then it will generate the keys for you.
So you don't need that.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, don't do any passphrases. Yeah, so basically, yeah, I didn't provide. I guess, yeah, I just hit enter multiple times. Okay.
And do the eval.
Yeah, and then you can just run the rest of you can copy those 3 commands and run them. And the last one will output the public key string. So you want to, so it will be kind of at the bottom, start with SSH dash. So you want to copy that line and then go to there is a link, right? You can click the link in the lab to go to the settings keys. And click new SSH key.
So when it prompts us to add like passcode and passphrase, we
Just hit enter, yeah, I think 2 or 3 times, and it will generate the keys, yeah. I'll take notes.
Command are you supposed to change?
For like in this?
Yeah.
No, so yeah, the only place where you put the email, after that you just run it as is. You can just copy those 3 lines and run it.
Yeah, but for the third command, I got no such.
For the SSH add,
You're right.
thank you, Barry.
Yes.
Could you do that directory to the /SSH? Oh yeah, the connection was lost. It needs to reconnect. Yeah. It did return not working.
Oh, I wasn't.
Yeah, actually, you know what we'll do? Alright, so get ready for that. I just gotta make that full screen. Oh. So this will, so the same thing there, so. It's interesting. It may be actually created by. So this part worked as far as. See, that should actually, oh yeah, okay, so it should actually create that. So we're gonna hit enter, create a directory. Okay, this time I think it went work. So we're gonna go return. Okay, although I didn't think it had worked, but anyway. Huh?
Yeah, you gotta choose.
So that was the key gen. Okay, and then that's just to make sure that thing's running. And then it's. Oh, this key is, yeah, it's there, so that's probably. Oh, yeah. I can move it. So. Yeah. It's something. Oh, right. Slide 5. Okay, yeah, okay, and then the last one was the cache. Yeah, there you go. So you have your-
Thank you, Barry.
The key is always there.
I'll just find the quick labs project, right?
Okay, so yeah, so if you, the question is how to find a quick labs project ID. So if you switch to the terminal, so you could see it here. So this would be the project ID. Quick labs project ID, yeah, so you can just copy that. So yeah, if I go back to this step, yep. And in my case, you wanna basically replace the value GenAI CICD with your project ID. It's line 8 and line 30. Yeah, so once you enable the Gemini chat, so at the bottom right corner, there is the icon. You can click that, click sign in, select Google Project. It'll take a moment. Then there will be a pop-up from where you have to select your GCP project again. Click that. And so this icon indicates that you connected and signed in. Sometimes when we're going to be switching back and forth or opening the folders, it might disconnect. So, but next time you just click the icon and it will reconnect right away. But once that's connected and you have the file open, you can right click anywhere, and from the context menu, you can select Gemini explain this. And another window will open here on the left. It's bigger. And basically what's happening is this is a Gemini chat. It will take content of this file, send it to Gemini LLM with a prompt to explain this file, and you're going to get back the explanation for this file, kind of for the whole file, right? Kind of, and it did a good job talking about the GenAI tool that we're using to perform the code reviews and how things organize. We're using the sample app that is Java application that we're using as an input for the code reviews. But again, this is kind of for the whole file. If you want to understand specific sections of the file, so you can select, for example, I'll select these lines, and then you can right click again and explain just those lines, and you'll get a line by line explanation for those lines. So in this case, it's the GitHub actions and how they work. And you get the summary for that. It's a pretty cool feature. So if you want to kind of explore the repo and understand better how everything works, you can use this Gemini chat. So let's see where we are. We're able to get through the you're able to get the SSH key.
Yeah.
And you got to this to the chat, or
You get the explanation.
okay. So at the bottom of the, if you switch back to the Cloud Shell editor, right at the bottom corner, for the first time, your icon might look like it's not connected. You want to, it's like a little star. Yes. Yeah, you want to minimize this. Yeah, minimize this, and then click open. Actually, there is one more command that you could run if you go back. Oh, yeah, so you have it actually. Cloud Shell edit. Yeah, so when you run that command, you go up in history. Yeah, if you run this, here we go. And then so that's the icon at the bottom. Click that and do sign in. Select project, and then there will be a pop-up, and you can drag that window up. So it's kind of, yeah, drag it over there. And you select it. And then at this point, you can do information.
This is
Sure.
actually
And if you want to kind of get the explanation for specific lines, you just select those lines, and you can do the context menu, or you get this little
so far it's
tooltip that you can click, and kind of there are multiple ways, and you can explain this as well. And the same prompts we run before to, so yeah, this will just explain these specific lines, but it doesn't have to be. Well, you can ask questions about this file, but you can also ask like other questions as well, like we did before. Explain GKE, for example, and it will give the explanation. Or basically, you can put any other prompt here as well, or it could be prompt about the file that you have opened. Also, like if you want to, like you can ask that question here or in the other Gemini chat. Like if you're trying to understand what are the like what's the gcloud command to enable Vertex AI APIs. You can ask a question like this, and it will give you back the command that you need to run. So for the Vertex AI, it's AI platform, and you can copy that and run it in the terminal. Or if you're working on any other task, you can kind of use this chat to help you figure out anything. This way, you kind of don't have to leave the IDE environment, right? You stay within the flow, don't have to switch to like Google search or Stack Overflow. Like you can get the answers right inside the IDE and not break up your flow. I like that a lot. All right, so we covered the explanation. So next we're gonna, from the UI, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go File, Open Folder, and because we just have to remove this part .github workflows and just go to the top level, click OK, and this will open the project in a Cloud Shell editor. Because we made the changes for so we switched the project from GenAI CICD to the QuickLabs project. So once you open the repo, you can switch to the source control tab section by clicking here, and you will see the changes that you made. So you should see, so your your project will be different, but you should see something similar. So we switch in the GenAI to QuickLabs project, and then there are two places. So you want to stage the changes and write a comment, project, commit it, and you can, because we have the SSH key set up and the username and email, so you can just push the changes from here. So you can do sync changes, click OK, and the changes will be pushed to your GitHub repository. And at this point, you can switch to the GitHub Actions tab. And you should see that we started the workflow. The workflow is running.
Okay, now it's
And basically, while it's working, like that's the explanation for the file that you did before. So we're doing a couple of things there. We doing the checkout, cloning the repo, and then we're going to run the Python code. In this case, we're going to install the dev.ai CLI. So that's the custom CLI that we created to demonstrate interaction with the Gemini APIs. And then after the dev.ai CLI is installed, we're running, let me make this bigger. We're running these 3 commands here. So we're basically doing code review, performance review, and security review. And as an input, in this case, we pass in the path to the sample app that we have inside the repo. So that's the Java code. And we pass in that path. Like in your case, like for the lab, we're going to be using this. But like in your project later on, you can switch to something else. Could be the files that were just checked in, and you can use that. So looks like my GitHub Actions finished. I see the green check marks. That's always good. And what happened here, just specifically to basically any output of the CLI that we run, we kind of send into the GitHub step summary. And the way it will work is when you go to the actions, you do a couple of clicks inside that workflow, you will see the output for the review here. Basically, we'll see 3 sections. So basically, and the way it kind of is broken down is by file and then a class. And so the first section is about potential refactorings for that code, then performance review results. Again, kind of we're giving that the source code with a prompt, and these are the results, and then the security findings. So this is a first good start. And how are you doing? You got to this point? You see the green check mark? exciting. So what kind of to put things in perspective? Yeah, let me finish. Let me go back here. Figure.
Is there anywhere we can monitor the API call to Gemini?
In the GCP project, you should see the kind of audit records. You should be able to find. Yeah, you would have to switch to the project. But basically, what we're doing here, and it's not in the diagram, but we have our GitHub repo set up. Right? So basically, instead of CircleCI, we have our GitHub repo. We have the GitHub Actions workflow file in the repo, right? It's configured for on code changes. Once you push the code changes, it's going to start running. And what it's doing is going to make the calls to the CircleCI Gemini API. And it's going to pass there's a prompt that we want to review the code. We give him the role. We kind of give him the instruction, what we expect back. And we also pass in that source code, basically pretty much passing the files kind of inline. And we're going to look into that in more details later on. And then we're getting back the results and we showing them on the in this UI. Okay. So I'm going to go.
Yeah, and then probably next step is the
Okay, we got that.
specific.
Do you need a moment to catch up, or we want to keep going? Everyone got to the GitHub Actions workflow running, and it's green. Oh, nice. Okay, so once you're done with that, and you see the output, you want to switch back to the Cloud Shell editor and open a new terminal. And what we're going to do is basically we're going to run the same commands that that you saw we executing part of the GitHub Action workflow to install the DevAI CLI. So when you paste this time, you have to allow text. You might see the pop-up. Make sure you click OK. So we're going to install the CLI locally, and we'll run the same commands that we run part of the pipeline inside the Cloud Shell environment. All right, so it was installed. Again, it's going to warn us that it was not added into the path, and you can. In your you want to don't just copy paste this line. Yes, because that specific. So basically, what you want to do is you have the output where it was copied. You want to take that output that's under your home.local bin folder and run the command to do the export path equal path on that location. And then after that, you can test it the way I echo. It should print hello command echo, so it means like it was installed. You can also check where it was installed, where it's come from, because we're going to be in the next section. We're going to be kind of switching to the development mode, and the AI would be in a different location. So once you have that going, so what we're going to do next is we're going to run next section, and we're pretty much going to run the same code review command that you saw being executed part of the GitHub Actions workflow. But this time we're running it locally, and we're passing the, let me make this bigger. Basically, so we're running command, there are a couple of parameters, review code, and then we pass in the path, and that's the app, the source code that you have locally as well. So you can go to the folder, sample app, source, main Java, and kind of explore those files. Again, you can get the if you want to understand what's happening, you can do, well, you see how it's connected. So you want to click and do sign in. This time you don't have to select the project. I think it will just reconnect. And then once it's reconnected, you can
No, I didn't.
open any of those Java files and do explanation. You can understand what's happening in those files. Or you can select specific section and get explanation for that. So this is, so that was code review. Next, we're gonna open the file. So you will run this command cloud shell edit, and we'll open that review command that we're running part of the CLI. And we're going to actually look at what's happening kind of behind the scene, what the CLI is doing, and how many lines of code it takes to kind of make this all work. Hopefully this is big enough. So, but this is kind of the main beats, right? What's happening behind the scenes. So for this code review command, right, we have this prompt, we have the instruction, right? We giving it a role, right? In this case, we're saying that you're experienced software architect, and we given the key areas where we want to focus. We're talking about the structure, the tone the model should use, and what to prioritize, and if there are no issues found, we kind of given what should be the output if there are no issues found. So this is our prompt, right? This is an instruction for the model that we're going to give. And then the context, as you remember, the context was, so the context in this case, we pass in the path to that source code, the Java source code. That would be the context, right? So we'll read all the files and also embed it part of the prompt. So basically it will be these instructions, and then at the bottom, you can imagine will be the source code. And then we'll make the call to the Gemini. So first we send in our query, the prompt, and then we send in our source code. And then we're getting back the response from the model. And pretty much in what, 6 lines of code, you can get it working. And again, you can use, if you want to understand what's happening here, you can select the specific lines and do explain. And you get the explanation what exactly is happening and what is the generative model and so on. Okay, so next we gonna, do we need some time to catch up? Okay, yeah, I can pause here.
Yeah, that's valid. Did you? Yeah. Okay, so that can be. Did you do that project ID? Yeah. That's. I just said that. on the set. You can command your image.
Just.
There's one more thing, location. Yeah. See, yes.
Just throw it on the surface. I'll do anything.
And you move like directly.
So while we're waiting for the fork, I can talk about kind of the repo a little bit. There are a couple of examples in the repo, and you can go to GitHub where you can look local environment. So this is the CLI. That's what we're using, the GenAI CLI. So all the commands on the source code is under that folder. In this repo, we also have example for the Chrome extension. Basically, with Chrome extension, the idea is that you can have the Chrome extension like this, and then you can copy text, put it here, do review, and behind the scenes there is a cloud functions running, and we'll take this input with a prompt, and then we're going to get back response. I didn't try it. Okay, here we go. We got back the response. So there is example of this integration as well, and you can find kind of the setup instructions for both, for the backend, for the cloud function, and for the UI Chrome extension files in this folder, if you want to play with that. And then there's also Slackbot integration. You can find details here, how to set it up. The idea is, again, you can have from Slack messages, you can send a message to backend API, and then we're going to talk to Gemini and send back the response to Slack. So in this repo, you can find the examples for Slackbot as well.
Source of reference. How do I do this? Oh, change this. Why did you change?
Should we move on? We need a little bit more time. So next section, we kind of switch. So before we just install it from with the pip install from the pipe packages. So here we're gonna do what we're gonna run these commands here, and basically we'll set up the local virtual environment, install all the dependencies, and we'll be making changes and kind of running the AI CLI locally with the changes we made. For that, we need to execute this block here to set up the virtual environment.
That is a lot of dependencies.
All right, once it's installed you can just double check that it's actually now running out of your GitHub project, that's a virtual environment location. And you can run again that code review command. Make sure everything still works fine. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. So it took a little bit of time, but basically we're getting back the same kind of output we see in the GitHub Actions workflow. We're getting it locally with our DWI CLI configured. So in the next couple of sections, we're going to be setting up all those different systems like Landsmith, JIRA, and so on. So what I suggest to start kind of the temp file and put those environment variables with the values in that file, because we're going to be referencing them multiple times, so it will be convenient to kind of easily find them. So Landsmith LLM tracing configuration. So if you don't have an account, you can sign up and create the API key. And basically, you can follow this link. There's a sign up link here. You can create an account here. And then there's a separate setting in the settings page. You can create the API key. Okay, so this. So this command, so read -as, basically what we're doing here is kind of, this is more secure way to set the API key in a shell without it showing up in history. So we'd use this command, and then it would wait for input, you would paste your input, and then you have to run the export. So for me to get the to my files with secrets, I'm gonna switch the camera to audience, if you don't mind. So let me switch back. Sorry, which command you running? For the link chain?
The read, yeah.
So basically, when you run this, is the next. It will prompt you for the input. So you just paste, if you have it in your clipboard, right? You will just paste and hit enter. You're not going to see the actual value in the console, and then you would run the export link chain API key. And if you want to check that it was set, you can run echo $, variable name, and it will actually print it in the console. So just to check that you actually set it, you can do that.
It's not clear from the instruction.
Okay, okay. I'll add the details too. You can also you can just do export variable name equal, and then it's just going to be in the kind of in the history, so it's not as secure way, but would work too. And then you would do the same for the JIRA. If you have JIRA account and you have the API token generated, you would run that command. Then with JIRA, you would also change the user email to the one that you use to register with JIRA. And then you would use your instance URL and then the project key that's specific to your JIRA setup.
This particular.
I got
sample.
it. Oh, so when they say, yeah, the basic idea was so like this.
Did we do something similar to encourage build us? Oh, that is a lot. It's a lot. I was just gonna say.
Yeah, I have a. Showcase guys, all use GenAI.
Once you have all those environment variables set, do we need a moment to like set those up? Okay.
Yeah, just, yeah, yeah. Kubernetes.
I understand the concept.
That's- Okay, grab what you need. Good way, isn't it?
What do you everyone's thing?
I don't do it by you. I get it done. Yes, but I think this is. But it's. It does. That's your
I think the export JIRA username might need to take out the space from the assign from the equal sign, otherwise it won't work. So
Hmm.
there's two space between.
You mean like on this side, in this part? Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, you're right. That when I run it here, there should be no spaces.
There's no space, yeah, but there's two spaces when I copy.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, that's good catch. The same for this step, right? When you copy.
The side of the fence.
Okay, I see. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to. Yeah. You want to run it like this, yeah. Like that. Should we move forward? Okay. So once you have all those set up and hopefully you have them stored in a file, kind of fold together because we're going to be using them in the next sections, we're running this cloud shell edit command. It would open the review.py file. And we kind of looked at it already, but basically what we're doing here, we're defining the model we're going to be using. In this case, we're using Gemini Pro 1.0, and we're starting the code chat, passing our prompt to do the code review, and also kind of the context. In this case, that's the source files of the sample application. So inside that file, we want to enable, so we're going to start kind of enabling those integrations. So line 22 is JIRA. So we want to uncomment the import on line 22, and then enable the method called the create JIRA issue with the response from the Gemini. So basically what's happening here, we first make the call, we send in this prompt to do the review for that source code. Once we get back the response from Gemini, we're going to take it and use it as an input for the JIRA issue creation call.
Quick question.
Yep.
What's the JIRA instance URL?
So this, like in my case, it's something like this. So basically your project, and then class.net.
Do you know how to find?
All right, so if you got site going and you set, so basically you
That's exactly what you
set all the endpoints, the project key. You can open the file that review.py, and what we're going to do is uncomment the calls to JIRA, and also so basically there's an import on line 22, and then inside that method, code review method, we would uncomment the create JIRA issue. So looks like line numbers are all full, but the method that we want to uncomment is the create JIRA issue. So once you've done that, you go back to the terminal and run the code review command again. So this time, in addition to the output from Gemini for code review, we'll see the output, agent output with the agent's thought and action. In this case, we asking agent to create a JIRA issue with the provided content. So the agent's initial thought is, okay, I should create a JIRA issue with a provided description. And then he's taken action, actually calling it create issue function and passing the code review response that we got back from Gemini. And then at the end of the agent run, we're getting the information about the issue that was created. So in your case, it would be your project key dash number. So in my case, it's 151. So in the lab, we have the kind of output of the command. So in this case, I'm going to go and open my project in JIRA just to double check that 151 was created now. And I should see in the description of the JIRA issue the review output that we already saw today. But now we sending that to JIRA. And then in other ways to check, we're going to go to the Linksmith portal. And if you have that set up, because we have using those environment variables, we said that we want to have debugging on, and we set the API keys. So all the calls to LLM and all the thinking that agent is doing is available here. So we can look at this last call that we just did. And see the output. So basically what's happening here, so we can see how the agent is set up. Basically, agent has the one tool. In this case, it's the create JIRA issue function, the tool that with a description that this method can create a JIRA issue. And there's example of the input. Basically, this is the prompting for the agent what to do when he gets those questions. And then at the bottom here is the human input. So this is what inside the code, and we will go and look in a minute. So basically, what we prompt an agent to do, we say them, okay, create a new JIRA issue with the following description, and then this part is what we get from the code review call, and using that output as an input for the agent. And so once we pass that information to the agent, so also, yeah, this is the LangChain React agent. Agent will basically go into the loop of the thought, action, observation. So in this case, agent is thinking that he needs to create a JIRA issue with the provided description, and it will make the call using the tools defined for that agent. In this case, the create issue method, and we'll pass the information that we got from the review step. And output of that is the information about the issue that was created. It's a very nice way to kind of inspect what's happening with all the calls if you're using LangChain apps and specifically React agents. And you can kind of wait for this, and this will show the whole flow. All right, so this could be a good point to pause and wait for everyone to catch up.
Did it say that? Oh.
We're able to see the output in JIRA. Yes, good job.
Oh. I think you need to get the project key from the project setting details that will be replaced with the JIRA project.
For the environment variables. Okay, so you use the project key. So yeah, in my case, it's
Okay, so yeah, this is so the action, right? This is AI generated.
okay. Yeah, so that's the, in my case, it's the same. It's put in.
AY. Fix these things.
So I'll quickly review that create JIRA issue method and kind of what's happening behind the scenes there. Then you can use the explanation feature of Gemini chat. But kind of the basic steps there, we will create the LLM, and we're going to use Gemini Pro model. We'll set the project and location. So this will be, we're reading this from environment variables. We're going to use the Java toolkit. So this is the toolkits, like if you go to the LangChain website, there are all kinds of toolkits contributed by the community. There's one for GitLab, GitHub, JIRA. I'm using the JIRA toolkit here. And I'm actually defining like two agents here. One, this is the one, so you can see the agent type, in this case, the React zero shot. And we pass in the tools. So the agent is a combination of the tools and LLM plus the prompt. And then this is the actual create issue method. So the way we initialize the create agent here, we pass in the information about the tool. So that's our function to create a JIRA issue. Again, using LLM and using the prompt. And then in the actual function, we're just going to call create agent and pass our instruction to create a JIRA issue. And then the context would be the output that we got it from the code review step. So to go back here, so if you want to prototype kind of if you want to test the prompts before you start coding, right? You have several options. You can use so there's CircleCI Studio, so you can copy that link and switch to your to that incognito window where you have the Cloud Shell and open a new tab. It will take you to this part of the CircleCI platform. There's a studio where you can come in and pick the different like language and multi-model. So in this case, the link will take you directly to the code chat. And then what you can do is, let's say you copy paste this instruction, or if you want a prototype of your own prompt, and then maybe switch here, go back to our sample app to grab some source code, copy that, and then just paste it here. So maybe let me make it bigger. So basically, this is what kind of happening behind the scenes, right? We have these instructions, the prompt, and you can change it to anything you're working on in your area, and then the context in this case will be the source code, right? I grab this one file. When we're doing a review, part of the workflow, we're gonna include all the source files in that folder. And then from here, you can pick the model you want to use. So by default, it's set to code chat. You can, if you scroll up, you can switch to Gemini. We'll use that. And then you can run that, and it will give you the count, how many tokens being used. And then, again, in this case, there are no major issues. Everything looks good. So you can, if you're not, let's say you're working on a use case, you can iterate here, change the prompt, run it. And then once you're done with it, there is this top right corner, there's a get code button. And then you get the code generated for Python, Node, Java, and curl. And that would look familiar what we have in our repo. Again, setting up the model, project and location. And then there's a prompt, configuration, and then again, the prompt that we used. So you can take this as an input for your project, for your app, and run it in your environment, in your project. And then these are the dependencies that are being installed. And you can get it for one of the languages that are available here. Another option is, so for this one, you need the access to GCP project. Another option is the
Now I understand.
Google AI Studio. That give you in the lab, I provide the instructions for the sign up form for the, if you want to play with the Gemini 1.5 Pro with a 1 million context window. To learn more about that here, and then there's a sign up. Basically, that will, where did I open it here? Kind of similar UI. You can select the model. You can put the prompt here. Maybe let me do this. Go to control box. Put the prompt. Send this, and then it will do the review. Also, in this UI, you can select the folder. You can select the whole folder, and then add the prompt, and it will run the kind of send the request to the model. And again, there is an option to get the code. And in addition, there is a Swift, Kotlin, JavaScript, and curl. So basically, you can grab this and start integrating into your app. And very easy. And then another option is the Gemini.google.com. You go there and you kind of can do a similar thing. I don't think you have the options to get the code like this there, but you can still do the prompt and add the files. And then for the mobile app, so for me, I'm using Android. I get the Gemini app, and you can connect it to the Gmail and Drive, and then you can just ask what are the latest emails from school, and summarize it for me, and it will connect and give you back a summary. It's really nice. There's no excuse for me now to miss any emails from school. It's very convenient, and it's been a huge productivity boost for me. So I recommend you kind of check that out. So at this point, we switching to, I know it's 6 o'clock. And what we have left is, so let's see where we are. So we run the command locally, and we see the output in JIRA and in Landsmith, right? We saw our comments. So that in the next step, what we're doing is we're gonna clone the repo, like this personal GitHub repo that you created. We're gonna clone it to GitLab. We're gonna start enabling the CICD pipeline in a GitLab. The file for the GitLab's CI is also in the repo, so it will, once we have everything, like all the environment variables set up, and we push any changes to the repo, the pipeline will start running, and you will see the output, again, similar output for those commands that you saw before, so code review, performance, and security. So this is the next section. So, and then after that, once we have it up and running, what we're doing is we're gonna disable the GitHub Actions pipeline. We configure in GitLab, sorry. Pushing the changes. And then once we're done with testing the GitLab, we're gonna disable the workflow. So basically we'll disable running over the pipeline on any code pushes, and only you can still run it on demand from the UI. But the reason we're disabling it is because we're going to start setting up the CircleCI integration, so we don't have kind of two commands running in parallel. So we disable Thank you, very appreciate it. So we can keep going. We can also stop here, maybe, and do the Kahoot quiz. Well, everyone's still motivated, and then maybe can continue. Back to the. Okay, yeah, so we're here at this section. So do you guys want to do Kahoot quiz to kind of take a little break? All right.